Title: Shriek and Shadows. The snowstorm outside had turned the world into a blur of white, making the window panes tremble as the wind howled against them. Christmas Eve, and yet there was an unsettling silence in the air. I sat alone in my grandmother's house, an old creaky place nestled at the edge of town, where the light from the fireplace danced on the walls, casting shadows that seemed to shift unnaturally. I had decided to spend the holiday there, hoping to escape the rush of city life. The house had always felt strange though. The long hallways, the worn-out furniture, the faint smell of something old and forgotten. The whispers my grandmother used to speak of, about the house being haunted, had always lingered in my memory. But tonight, I dismissed them as superstition, knowing I was being foolish. As the clock struck midnight, I heard it, a distant sound, like something scraping against the wooden floorboards. My heart skipped a beat. I told myself it was just the house settling, the old beams groaning under the weight of time. But then came the second sound, closer this time, a soft muffled thud, followed by a shuffling noise. I froze. My eyes darted around the room, but there was no sign of movement, only the soft crackle of the fire and the distant wail of the wind outside. I stood up slowly, my feet heavy against the creaky floor as I moved towards the hallway. The house felt different in the dark. The shadows were deeper, the air colder. I swallowed hard and crept down the narrow corridor, trying to keep my breathing steady. As I approached the end of the hall, I noticed the door to the attic slightly ajar. I hadn't remembered leaving it open. Curiosity tugged at me, stronger than fear. I stepped toward the door, the low hum of something unseen pulling me in. When I pushed the door open, the air turned frigid, and I could smell something faintly metallic. The attic, long forgotten and covered in dust, was now bathed in an eerie glow, but it wasn't from the moonlight or the fire. No, this glow had a strange, unnatural hue to it, sickly and greenish. I could see the outline of something in the far corner, something moving. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, but then I saw it more clearly. An old rocking chair, rocking back and forth, though no one was sitting in it. My breath caught in my throat. The shadows in the room seemed to thicken, wrapping around the chair like dark fingers, pulling it faster with each creak. I backed away, my pulse hammering in my ears. But as I turned, I heard a voice, a whisper, soft but insistent. "Help me." The words echoed in my mind. They weren't just a whisper in the room. They felt like they were coming from the walls themselves. I wanted to run, to leave, but something kept me rooted to the spot. My body moved against my will, stepping closer to the chair, to the source of the voice. "Please," it whispered again, louder this time, almost pleading. "It's not too late." I reached out, trembling. As the chair continued to rock, its motion growing faster. And then I saw her. A figure, pale, gaunt, her eyes wide and hollow, emerged from the shadows, her fingers scraping against the floor as she crawled toward me. Her hair was matted and wild, her lips stretched in a twisted smile that didn't belong to any human I had ever seen. My blood ran cold. I wanted to scream, but no sound came. The figure's mouth opened wider, impossibly wide, and from it came a shriek, a blood-curdling sound that reverberated through my skull and rattled the windows. My body froze in place, unable to move, trapped in the gaze of those unblinking eyes. "Why did you come here?" she whispered, her voice now a hiss, like the wind through a cracked window. Do you think you can escape what's coming? No one escapes the curse of this house. I backed away, but the shadows were closing in, the walls pressing tighter around me. The temperature dropped so suddenly that I could see my breath fogging in the air. The attic door slammed shut behind me, trapping me inside with her. The rocking chair screeched to a halt, and the figure stood, her arms outstretched, her long fingers twitching like broken branches. "You shouldn't have come back," she hissed. And in an instant, her hand shot out, grabbing my wrist with inhuman strength. Her touch was cold, like death itself, and I felt the warmth drain from my body as if she was siphoning it away. I screamed then, my voice finally breaking the silence. But the scream was swallowed by the shadows, lost in the suffocating darkness. She dragged me toward the corner of the attic, where I saw an old wooden chest, its surface covered in strange symbols and markings. "You're part of it now," she murmured, her voice no longer a whisper, but a growl. "You're in the house, and the house will never let you leave." With a final scream, I was thrown into the chest. The lid slammed shut, and the darkness consumed me, leaving only the echoes.